Hello everyone and welcome to the Flicks Forum podcast with Jesse, Heater and MJ. In this week's episode we'll be discussing Netflix's 22nd film, the 2017 thriller Clinical, directed by Alistair Legrand, starring Vinessa Shaw, Kevin Rahm, India Eisley, Aaron Stanford, Nestor Serrano, Sydney Tamiia Poitier and Wilmer Calderon. Hello.
Hello mates.
G'day mates.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Good to be here.
Yes, looking forward to our next film, the thriller. It's been a while. Since Mercy, maybe? I call Mercy a thriller.
Mercy was, I think you would have to call it a thriller.
Mercy was a thriller.
Yeah. Good, so another Netflix thriller. As usual, we're going to go around and do our fast flicks. MJ's going to hit us off today with his 30-second or quick summary of the film.
Quick summary. An intense and confronting thriller, so it is a thriller, an intense and confronting thriller that follows the narrative of a psychiatrist trying to recover from a traumatic experience with a patient. It keeps you guessing about what's real, what's going to happen next, and why on earth you would get into this field of work. I didn't want to be a psychiatrist after watching this film.
Too much pressure.
Yeah. Bloody hell.
I'll go next. So I've gone, a psychiatrist struggles with the failures of a past patient. She thinks putting herself back into her work will help. Will her work allow progress or lead to a further decline?
Oh, the question. Always got to have a question in there.
Just for you. All right, you go.
All right. A psychiatrist takes on a new post-trauma patient. However, it causes her past horrors to resurface from when an old patient violently attacked her.
Good. Straight to the point, Heater.
Very straight to the point.
There's
always am.
No denying what happened in the film after listening to you.
Very direct. I guess with this one as well, we're going to spoil, as usual.
Yeah, please, if you haven't seen the film and you want to see the film, go see it before you listen to us.
So, what do we learn about this film? What are some? I didn't find much.
I'd say not much.
Not much at all.
It looked like it didn't premiere at a festival, like a lot of our other recent films. It was just straight onto Netflix.
Yep. I saw that. So Vinessa Shaw, who played Jane, and Miles, they'd previously starred together in The Hills Have Eyes as a couple. Mm-hmm. And that was about all I could find.
And Vinessa Shaw had played a psychiatrist before on House. For like 1 or 2 episodes.
So we're really clutching at straws to get about this film.
I just couldn't find anything else on the internet about this film.
Yeah, it was pretty low key. It's always hard as well when the film's got such a common word as a title that you type in clinical, you're not going to find anything about the film.
And it's like, who would you like to see? The local.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll be getting ads from Google for a while.
Critical consensus. So Rotten Tomatoes, there was only one critic review on this. Which
probably further supports the fact that we can't find anything.
Yeah, no one's seen it.
Yeah.
So 210 user ratings, and it had 24% on that on Rotten Tomatoes.
24,
5.1 on IMDb.
Yeah, and that just had under 5,000 on IMDb, so that's probably the most we're going to find on it for anything else.
Yeah.
2.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Had about 1,500 ratings there. So, the director Alistair Legrand, this is his second feature film behind the 2015 horror sci-fi The Diabolical, which I'm not familiar with.
Me neither.
No, me neither.
But I saw his next film he's working on is called Mile 81, and it's based on a screenplay by Stephen King. So
a screenplay by Stephen King. So
it didn't say a novel. It said a screenplay based on a screenplay by Stephen King. So I'm not sure. I like Stephen King, but I haven't heard of Mile 81.
He could write something on a napkin and they'd make it into a movie. Like he's got it going.
Flavor of the month at the moment, definitely.
And Jesse will watch it straight away.
I will.
He's a great writer. Don't you know?
Well, coming up, we've got a couple of Stephen King Netflix originals. So
there is
there
coming up soon,
which will be good. So debuted 13th of Jan, Netflix worldwide.
2017.
Microsoft phone. That was the only product placement that I could see. The Microsoft phone logo on the back of the phone multiple times. That was it.
Yeah, okay. They're getting better then.
Yeah, nice little. It's not.
No one wanted to get behind.
Yes. Goodness gracious me. So, what else? Any other actors? I thought Naomi Watts or Toni Collette would have been alright as Jane.
Yeah,
they're the sort of characters they like to play.
Yeah, I actually think there's a little bit of this, and I think Vinessa Shaw was fine. I think this film could have stepped out a little bit if there was an A-lister in that role, because I thought that Kevin Rahm, who was, I guess, the main supporting, who played Alex, the patient, I thought he was excellent. And I feel like if you get a great performance from him and an A-lister really anchoring this film, it becomes pretty legitimate.
Yeah.
And it's one thing that I do. Like a Naomi Watts would be really good.
She would have been good, yeah. I didn't mind Vinessa Shaw.
I agree.
She was pretty good.
She was fine.
Not outstanding, but pretty good.
Any other sort of things any other cast members you could replace They were all, they were nothing. They were all okay. What they did.
I don't think anyone was bad. They were just they were all okay.
I thought this film was pretty good. Like they did a lot of things right, and I think in a film where there really is probably only 2 real main characters, and the rest are all very supporting.
Very.
You don't really need too much more.
No. Yeah, like character-wise, I felt that maybe Miles, the boyfriend, and her friend, I forget her friend's name, but they didn't really do much, really.
You never thought they were going to actually play much of a role. Actually, it turns out that Miles kind of did play a role.
Yeah.
But even with the friend...
So did the friend at the end. It was like the friend...
It was almost just chucked in there, though, wasn't it? Like I thought initially that relationship with the friend when they were going jogging together and she was sort of seeing flashes of Nora, I was like, okay, this friend's going to play... It reminded me of... what's that film with Joel? The Gift? Have you seen The Gift?
The Gift, yep.
That sort of scene when they were going for the run and getting sort of stalked, but it really had a real sort of The Gift feel to it. Just like the opening scene had a real Sixth Sense feel to it, where you're in a psychiatrist and you've got an ex-patient rolls in and kind of threatens to kill you.
The first 5 minutes of that film, I was not expecting that from the start of that film, to be honest.
That was awesome.
The first
Me neither.
The first 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, wow, that's how we're starting.
I messaged MJ. I'm just like, I watched the first 5 minutes. Holy shit!
Came out of nowhere.
Wow.
They set her up as like, okay, it's Christmas. She's working. She's kind of doing the admin side of the job as well as this job. But then, bang, like straight in.
That was intense.
Yeah, but I guess what made it more intense was prior to that, there's just that shot of the moon. Literally, I timed it. It was like 2 minutes of the moon with the credits rolling over, and then the splash of the puddle, and then it was like straight into that. So I think that slow credit start made that more impactful as well.
Yeah,
like
right.
that was I like that. That was good.
I thought, from a character perspective, I thought it bothered me how overt Jane, or Vinessa Shaw's character Jane, was about not administering drugs to her patients when clearly she sort of had that drug issue, because it was like, okay, you're very familiar with the impact that drugs can have on people, and yet you're doing it to the side. And actually, it really bothered me when near the end you felt like she sort of had done her own sort of drug overdose and flipped out. Yeah. And I was like, well, that's even more stupid that she's done it. But then obviously you find out that she was drugged, which I kind of enjoyed that little reveal. But I just thought that the whole drug thing was way too overt. And from the very start, they're like, oh, I'm not going to give you drugs. Or so like, hey, can I just... No, I'm not going to give you pills. I'm like, okay, this is going to come back.
Yeah. Anything else for characters? Any other characters that you really liked?
Well, I wanted to... As I said, I thought Kevin Rahm as Alex was excellent. Yep. And I thought it was a really well thought out character, in the sense that I always sort of felt like, I think we were supposed to think that he had this little sneaky agenda.
Yeah, it was always going to something was going to
even
happen.
The fact where he was like on the phone, it's like, you're the best, I need you. Yeah. And then the fact that he sort of kept coming to her house, and there was obviously this big link. And the whole time I'm like, what's the link between Alex and Nora? I can't figure out the link between Alex and Nora, but there has to be one. Yeah. And then I actually started to think that Alex was going to be like a MacGuffin. And I was like, okay, they've brought this character in to be like, hey, draw your attention, here he is, and Nora's on the side and all this stuff's happening, and I actually got a feeling that the film was going to end and you're going to be like, they got me. Like, Alex wasn't actually trying to do anything. It was just me thinking, here's this weird guy with a stuffed up face. And
it's a lot of time and effort in the film to him.
Well, but I was almost like, this is kind of brave. Like, I don't mind it. But then when the link came through to him being Nora's father, and it fit in pretty well, I preferred that ending, to be honest. But I really enjoyed that character. I think the very first scene you see him close the blinds and you can't actually see his face all that well. And straight away you're like, I need to know more about this guy. You're trying to figure out more. You're trying to see him.
Talking about that scene, that was in one of my sort of standout scenes, because when they first sit down, the camera's it's real low on her, and it's really, it's a close up of her face. And then when it cuts to him, you get the whole couch, you get him, it's like a real long shot. So it's like trying to show the differences between these characters. And then the camera slowly moves in on his face. Like, it's like Jane slowly trying to check out, okay, what's actually wrong with his face. And I just thought that was...
Because that's, as an audience member, that's what I was doing.
Yeah,
talking
kind of
about
looking
it
and going, what's...
So I thought
what's going on there?
That scene, you speak about was really good. Any other... Do you want to talk about some scenes that stood out?
Yeah.
Hater, what have you got? What did you like?
The opening scene.
The opening scene, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, what was a great start. I didn't like this movie too much, but I love the start of it. Yeah, that opening scene was fantastic.
In the same sort of vibe, that's the first scene where Nora comes into the house was absolutely chilling. Like when the door opens and she goes outside and then you see Nora run inside. I was like frozen on my seat because at that point I wasn't 100% sure that Nora was still alive.
Yeah.
I know they mentioned early on saying, "Oh, you said you're going to go visit Nora," and I was like, "Is this just kind of psych talk for trying to get her out of something?" So I wasn't 100% sure she was alive. So I'm like, "Is this supernatural?" Like, what? And it was so creepy.
I thought, pretty much all the scenes where Nora's in the house, I was creeped out.
That was so creepy.
What you realise, I was just sitting on edge, and I thought they were all really good and really scary.
Terrifying.
What about when she goes for the run? I think it was Clara. Was it Clara, my friend? Clara. I've got it down. Anyway, but
some of that
because she rocked up there as well.
Yeah, just running alongside. Yeah. Oh, creepy.
Yeah.
So this film was creepy.
It was chilling. Like I haven't felt that way in a film in a while.
As we were watching the film, I really liked the use of the camera. There were a lot of tilted angles. Like throughout the film, the angles were always skewered.
The very start when she's walking down the hallway, it's kind of
Clara.
up from above.
That's Clara. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're kind of looking up at her.
Like the whole time, there's a lot of these tilted upside down shots of the house being trippy, and it really gave this. Okay, who's the actual sane one here? Because you couldn't work it out, and usually you try and use that technique to try and say, okay, they're in a different state of mind or something like this. So that to me, but then I felt like they overused it.
I was going to say, you know what? That was the one thing I didn't like about it.
Towards halfway onwards, it became off-putting rather than being a device that could be used well. Like I was like, the first half was like, oh, this is good, and then I was like, using it a little bit too much. So
it tried too hard to do it because I get that, and it was actually too obvious. When you want to see that happening is when it's on a subconscious level, and without knowing that someone's in a dazed state or whatever. In this, I was so aware of it. I hate saying that. It's like it reminds me of Peter Griffin on Family Guy. I don't want to tell you right now, but I'm aware that I'm watching a play right now. But it was too much. Like I'm like, I know what you're trying to do, and it's not really working.
There's always this argument about Die Hard being a Christmas film.
I was thinking this too. I'm like, are we going to call this a Christmas film?
Is this a Christmas film?
Because Die Hard is.
Well, Die Hard is a Christmas film.
So
I will argue all day it is a Christmas film.
I didn't mind the underlying Christmas thing in this because I felt like that helped progress the film quite a lot.
It was good, like when he was asking about like the decorations and stuff, like why there were no decorations up. And that was good.
So, the carols were playing throughout, and the first connection she had with Alex was that he liked a lack of Christmas spirit. So it sort of gave them that connection to start with because he noticed there was no decorations, and then she's sitting or lying in bed, and the Christmas Carol with Ebenezer Scrooge is on the TV, and then she sits down with Miles and has that connection with him first because they get all the decorations out, and there's like the one that's not broken, and she's like, what'd she say? Something like it reminds me of Nora, like that, they're all broken and there's this one sort of standing sort of thing.
Not to mention when it was broken, it was like the bloody glass that she was trying to...
which came back as well. And and then she has that other connection with Miles because she's like, oh, I hate this time of year, and he's like, yeah, me too, sort of thing. So I liked that was running throughout. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that too. But why does she watch Scrooge or Christmas Carol all the time? Because that was obviously the same period. Maybe it was over a few weeks, and she just kept watching that same movie. I don't know if that's what they just bought the rights for, but probably. I wasn't sure if I missed something with that.
Was her favourite movie?
Yeah,
she just kept on watching.
Maybe because she doesn't like Christmas.
Yeah, so she just like
Scrooge doesn't like Christmas.
She likes watching Scrooge.
The clock was used well throughout as well. There was always shots of these clocks. So in the house, at the office, at the therapy session. So that was good, just sort of showing, there's this time's ticking by, and nothing's happening. She's not progressing. So I like that. What do you think of the black and white scenes that were slowly revealed? Alex's scenes of his memory coming back. I liked that. I did think the same as the tilted angles. It got a little bit repetitive.
It was a bit much
because I felt like we've seen this now 4 or 5 times as it's coming back. But I did like that contrast where you finally see his face, and it's just the blood on his face is red while everything else is
it was like Sin City, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it's they were really interesting scenes because I actually wanted to find out more, and I like the fact that they drip fed it to me, and that's because you can get that wrong sometimes where you really piss off the audience saying, no, I'm not going to give it to you, but they give you enough, and the end result is that he's missing his face basically. So you're wondering how it's going to get to that.
And I like they use the montage a couple of times as well when she's sitting with her clients, and I like that too, to sort of show that it was highlighting how boring everyone else is, and that's why she needs to go back to Alex. And,
I think that's the thing. Do you believe like she keeps saying that? No, this is what I'm really good at, and do you believe that? Yeah, she's really good at it, or do you think it's just like I just need this because this is why I got into it?
It's a tough question. It's one of those questions you don't know the answer to because. Yeah. That maybe can be one of our questions as well. Is like,
was she good?
Was working with Alex trying to help herself, or
was she just being selfish because it was the itch that she needed to scratch kind of thing?
Yeah. Anything else that stood out?
I liked at the end that they showed his face ripped off. I think it was a kind of payoff that we needed. Like, I would have been annoyed if they didn't show me that. As sick as that sounds, when you go there and you see the back of his head, I'm like, show me his face, because I knew it was ripped off, and I'm glad that he had the balls to do that.
Like a cornier sort of movie would have, then he would have stood up.
Exactly.
At least they sort of ended on that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I was completely glued to the screen for that last 10 minutes. Like I was so in, and I watched this movie at night time, which probably you guys probably do as well. Probably a lot of people do. And I couldn't get my heart to stop racing by the end of it. Like I was so in, and I was walking around the house and I was just trying to calm down before I went to bed. Not that I wasn't frightened, but it was so exhilarating, like that ride at the end. That's exactly what you want to get out of a film.
Yeah.
I watched this pretty late at night and was creeped out that some little girl was going to be running up and down my hallway. I was like, I'm just going to sit on the couch for a while. Like, I'm not moving. Let's turn the lights on. Let's just...
Chuck on an episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah. It was good, though, in that it was creepy. Like, I mean, I like watching, scary movies because I like the fact that I do get scared during them.
Yeah.
So I liked being scared in this movie.
You want,
yeah.
What didn't really do it for us?
I really like that first scene, but before that happens, she's calling her patients to check up on them at almost midnight. Don't understand why she's calling them at almost midnight.
Yeah,
not a good time to be calling your patients.
Good point.
I had that as well, but I felt like that was a part of that thing. Like to me, when she was on that phone, it was like she didn't really enjoy doing that though. It was like she was like, "Oh, can't wait to get home."
Yeah, I think it showed that, but it just seemed really weird to me that she's calling patients and then you see the clock and it's almost midnight.
Was it almost midnight?
It was almost midnight. Yeah, and it's just a weird. I mean, I understand why you wanted to show that, but the timing just didn't add up for me for her to be calling her patients that late.
Well, so to me, when I saw that. And that's why I don't like that either, is because to me it was like, it's Christmas time, there's all this Christmas stuff. She's annoyed that she's still at work because she wants to be home for Christmas, but then it just led into her.
So now she's disturbing.
I got the idea though that I got the idea straight away that yes, it's Christmas and this girl's at work. I felt like she didn't care that she wasn't missing Christmas, and I felt like she's this workaholic that worked through Christmas because she'd rather be doing that than celebrating it.
Yeah. I didn't like, there was the scene where Nora's in the house and then she goes into the room and there's all the blood and the photos on the bed, and then the police come and Miles, her boyfriend's there trying to settle her down, and she's like, I'm not going to call the cops because she doesn't want Nora to go back to where she's drugged and forgotten. I'm like, realistically, that's pretty freaky that someone's done that to your bed.
This is so full on.
That's so full on, and you're like, nah, I just want to look out for this girl. Like, to me, I was like, that's pretty ordinary.
Yeah, she made some bad... I mean, it doesn't suit the narrative of the story, but she shouldn't have kept seeing Alex after he broke into her house.
Yeah.
The fact that she didn't refer him to someone else, it seems crazy to me that... I
guess, she was so mentally unstable, though. And
it's true,
and
yes.
Alex did...
He seemed genuine.
He made a compelling case.
Yeah.
I kind of get it.
He did seem genuine.
But I agree. But in the real world, you'd be like, I'm sorry, this is
no way.
But at least they didn't just gloss over that, and there was reason to believe that she would continue to see him, and why.
The bit I wish they glossed over was at the end when, he's got her trapped or whatever, and she's having a go at him about what he's done to his daughter, and his comment was like, you can't help who you fall in love with.
Yeah, he was basically just, I just love her so much.
Yeah, I was like, that's something you can gloss over. We work out that we know that. You don't need that out. You don't need to feed that to us.
I felt that a bit too much.
That was a bit too gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you go.
Just the scene when you see Nora in the hospital with the other psychiatrist there, and she's scratching at her wrist, and which wasn't really nice to watch. But she just gets out of her restraint far too easily. Yeah. I feel like you're in obviously in some kind of mental institution where I assume they would expect patients can be doing all that things. Those restraints should keep you locked up. It just didn't seem right that she can just slip out of them.
She ripped all her skin off to make it looser.
Yeah.
I was uncomfortable watching that scene.
It was uncomfortable, but to me, it just didn't seem right that she can slip those restraints. They should be, really secure and tight, and so you can keep scratching away, and it's not going to make an effect on you escaping.
I think the scene that bothered me the most was the first time that Jane hears noises outside. And she goes outside, and this goes to the camera work that kind of bothered me a little bit too. They went for the handheld camera work. Every time there was one of those scenes, you could tell that they had the handheld camera before it even started.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we're going to do a bit of this.
Yeah.
But they tried to really disorientate you so you can't really see what's going on, but they did it in such a clunky way that it was like they were trying to hide the fact that there's actually a person here, but we don't want you to see him. And even that scene where you finally hear the last bang and then you see someone running away, you see a silhouette run away.
Yeah.
It looked so bad. Mm-hmm. And I think the whole time I actually thought there were two people there by the way that they were,
the bushes.
Yeah. But then that last shot when there was someone running away, I was like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
But you know what? To their credit, they got those scenes right after that because I thought they were the best scenes. So I'm glad that they didn't continue with that, but that was really poorly shot and probably poorly done.
Yeah. My last one is, and I mean, I love violence in movies, and I love my blood and guts. So at the end, when Alex is stabbed in the neck, and there is so much blood gushing out, which was over the top, but really cool. But when that much blood is gushing out, you cannot just hold it and keep walking up those stairs. That to me was not believable. The amount of blood that was gushing out that he can just continue on walking. He should have been on the ground and done.
But then after he's managed to have his face ripped off, he still manages to walk all the way back downstairs to the couch.
Yeah.
His last little bit of energy, he's like, you know what, I want to get comfortable.
Yeah. I just couldn't do him. Just all that gushing out, I'll just put my hand there and I'll just keep on going. Like, no. If that's all coming out, you're done, man.
I don't know if we gloss over this, but do you think Kevin Rahm did a really good job in that role? I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, I thought he was good. Yeah, I thought he was really good.
Really believable.
I haven't seen him in much else, but
I've got a good story. I
think like my main one is he's the sergeant in the Lethal Weapon TV show, and he's okay in that. And I think I've seen him a couple of things where I'm like, he's okay.
So, yeah.
I've never really
I don't know much of him.
Noticed him as awesome, and I was like, that was pretty good.
Well, I guess we'll get to the end. I IMDb'd him because when they showed the scenes of him with a normal face, I was like, oh, that is such a familiar face, and I was looking and I was scrolling. He's been in tons of stuff, right? But small parts.
Exactly.
And I'm like, no, none of these things are what I'm thinking of. So I put it to bed, and then the next day I like, no, there's something like what is it that I know him from? And I saw he had a credit from Friends. One episode, and I've glossed over it initially. I'm like, I think I can see him in Friends. So I googled like Kevin Rahm Friends, and I remembered it immediately. He was dating Phoebe whilst he was working for Monica at the restaurant. And Phoebe wanted to break up with him, but then Monica wanted to fire him. And they didn't want to do it at the same time. And then they eventually did it. And then he was like really lovely. And then Phoebe wanted to get back together with him. And then I was like, that's who it is.
Yeah, I can see that now.
He was my MDB as well, but for different different things.
Pretty niche, my one.
Well, so he was in Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is one of my favourite films. And he was worked with Nina in the TV network on Nightcrawler. And I was like, yep, I remember then. I'm like, I know you from other stuff as well, but I used to love Desperate Housewives.
That's what I thought I might have seen him from.
He was in Desperate. He was the real estate agent and the gay couple on Wisteria Lane. So he was in Desperate Housewives for quite a while.
Yeah, that's what I saw, and I've barely seen it, but I'm like, maybe that's what I remember him from, but it wasn't.
Hater, did you look up anything?
Mine was Jane Psychiatrist.
Okay, what's he from?
He's the news reporter from Die Hard.
Oh, wow.
No way.
I look at it like I saw it because this is like 30 years on, so I'm looking at him going,
the voice?
I know you. No, just it was his face. I'm not sure who you are. Look it up. He's the news reporter from Die Hard. He's the I won't swear. He's the jerk from Die Hard. Almost did that. She punches in the face at the end. Like he's great.
2 Die Hard references in this podcast.
Wow. we should probably go back and have what are some of the themes in this? Some of the things that underline this film. There's a couple of things.
A lot of stuff with and around mental health, especially.
Yeah.
I think the one that I like the most, which is probably pretty obvious, but there's no right or wrong way to like treat the fragility of a human mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, like she kind of points out the two different kind of ways.
Confrontation.
Some psychologists do like the medication that he wants, and she prefers just to talk and things like that. Like which ways, it works different for different people.
Yeah, like that whole idea of confronting the trauma and dealing with the trauma. But then there's also that other side as well, like where dealing with disconnection and insecurity and anxiety, and they kept saying this word disassociation as well, like disassociating with what's going on.
Yeah.
There's a thing there too with Jane, like regretting her past. Like she had this whole fear of failing the whole time, and that was the reason she didn't want to let Alex down. She didn't want the same thing to happen with Nora, and that was her whole thing. Was she doesn't want to let anyone down again.
I suppose that's based on a pretty traumatic episode, though.
It is massively, and that leads into their idea of reality as well. Like I think Nora, Alex, and Jane, they all struggle with what's real and what's not. All three of them.
I actually think as a result, I think the director did a really good job at me as an audience member thinking what's real and what's not. Even though most of the time it was exactly as it played out, except for when the reveal when she killed Miles.
Yeah.
That's when I'm like, what else isn't real?
So when she killed Miles, you're in a kitchen. There was like we'd seen her get the knife before, and I think that was purposely done because she kills him with a corkscrew.
You see them how they film the corkscrew on the floor?
Yeah.
They like zoom in on it. I'm like, I reckon they might pick that up.
I reckon she'll get to that.
So the corkscrew is like screwing someone over, like like it's just this little symbol. Like otherwise, like you've seen her take the knife before. Why not just and I guess we see her drinking that wine multiple times throughout the film as well.
Did you notice when they film it as Nora in the house and she got the table in front of the door and she just pushes the door open with ease? I'm like, what the hell? How'd she do that so easily? And then when you show Miles doing it, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like a pretty strong policeman.
Yeah.
Just bang. And I'm like,
because it wasn't actually her.
That was a nice little clue.
Yeah, that was good.
Did you see that coming?
No, because in your mind you're still thinking, oh, is Nora real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you when the reveal of when you found out they killed Miles, did you think that was going to happen?
No. I was kind of expecting to go onto the film and you just see her just kind of thrashing about in the kitchen just by herself, like she's made it up in her head.
Yeah.
I didn't expect for Miles to be there. I thought she'd just be by herself, just thrashing around.
Yeah.
I thought it as soon as they said, "What would Miles think if he? What would you say to Miles if he was here?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, that's a really weird thing."
Oh
to say.
yeah,
It's a weird question.
But that was a really nice twist.
It was good.
Yeah, that was good.
That's chair.
Squeaky. So what else can we take from this film? So it looked nice for what it was. Like it didn't look like poorly made for the budget they probably had.
You're right. It didn't, considering some of the budgets that they do have on Netflix. Just didn't seem to have that restriction.
They bought a lot of fake blood, I reckon it looks like.
A bit of the budget went towards that,
which I like.
I thought the whole reveal was pretty slow and really methodical. Like it filled all the holes. Right, you didn't walk out of this film going, "What? How did that end? What did I miss?" Like they were really methodical in filling everything, which is okay. But I think it probably stops it from being a great film from a good film, because it's just like this is the clever story we're telling, but we're going to tell it to you so you don't miss anything.
It was pretty straightforward in telling. There was no kind of ambiguity.
They really
like
spell
what's
it
going to happen. Like I think I was online reading some reviews and stuff, and always somehow find my way to Reddit, and I saw a few people being like, what do you think of this interpretation of this and this, and then a few comments is like, no, the movie just happened as it happened. Stop thinking too much into it. It happened as it happened.
I'm assuming you saw the same Reddit thread as me, where this person opens the thread saying, here's the 3 things that could have happened.
Yeah.
And the one that actually happens, they're like, this is the least likely of happening. Yeah. And these are the other 2 reasons. I'm like, that is absurd.
Yeah.
But you think that's how it happened.
I just love that they got shut down by so many people going, no.
This
movie was exactly what you watched. There is no kind of debating and stuff. There wasn't any hidden messages as to like, oh, was it this? No, this movie was exactly how it played out.
So perfect for Netflix. Yeah, Red.
Perfect for Netflix, but it would have been good in the cinema too.
Yeah, good. Dark room.
Yeah.
Dark room cinema.
Yeah, it was scary enough at home.
Yeah. I make sure I turn the lights off at home. Occasionally, I do like to watch movies in the dark, but occasionally I'll leave a light on because it doesn't really change much of the ambience. But This one, I was like, get that light
Lights
off.
out.
I'm all in.
I think I watched this probably started at 11 p.m. So it would have finished at just before 1.
I would have been in bed for an hour and a half.
I don't think I thought this movie was maybe 15 minutes too long.
It did a little bit.
Yeah,
drag out a little
it
bit.
kind of dragged out a little bit. Probably, I think it was an hour 45, hour 50.
Yeah.
An hour and a half, I think, would have been a
And that's what I mean about they really tried to fill all the holes in.
Yeah.
They didn't want you to be asking any questions
Yeah,
afterwards.
just kind of about 15 minutes too long, probably for me.
I got a few questions for you guys. So, Jane was constantly on about caring for her patients first. That was her. She's like, I need to care for my patients first. Did she, or was it more she was doing what she was doing for herself?
I think she thinks she was.
Yeah, I better say, I think in her mind, she's caring for her patients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heart was in the right place.
Yeah.
She wasn't in the right state of mind to be doing it, I guess.
Not at all, no. Even though they kept saying it's 2 years since it's happened or whatever.
Yeah,
she's still,
yeah. I mean, anyone who's been through trauma knows that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There was a scene where Alex is sitting with Jane and she does the 4-7-8 where it was breathe 4 through the nose, hold for 7 seconds, then exhale through the nose for 8. I did it straight away.
Same. I think we all did.
It was hard. It was so hard.
Exhaling for 8.
Oh, it was so
I
hard.
couldn't breathe
The
out
last
for 8
bit I was
seconds.
like,
Yeah.
extremely difficult.
Yeah, it's really tough. But I guess it takes your mind off anything that's going on.
Because you can't breathe.
What's what they
Not
say
relaxing
when
at
you're
all.
going through an anxiety attack or anything like that? Try and think of things around you and notice things around you and touch things. So I guess you just sort of come into the now as opposed to everything that's going on in your head. I guess something like that. If you're really focusing on how long you should be breathing for, you're not worrying about.
Yeah,
what's on your
exactly.
mind.
Yeah, because you got to concentrate on doing
Yeah,
that.
that was
An
tough.
anxiety attack.
Counting.
about
Yeah, I was like, I'm hyperventilating.
It's too long.
So Alex broke into the house at one stage and he was in the kitchen
At the start.
Yeah.
No, he was in the psych room because her psych office was part of the house.
Yep.
And she went from the kitchen into that room.
Into that room,
Yeah.
okay. So no matter, was this an attempt by him that failed at the start? Was he trying to get to her first, do we think? Or do you think that, was he actually having a bit of a breakdown there?
I think this was more his planning and getting the layout of the house.
Was it him breaking out to help?
Yeah.
I don't think he was ever
sure.
having any episodes ever.
Yeah, no.
The whole thing
Yeah,
was an act.
I think he knew exactly what was going on. So I don't think this was a failed attempt on him to do anything. I think this was him just getting in the house to get the layout out and know exactly where
things
everything
are.
is to plan for the later.
If she had have laid
The weather
charges
attack.
there, it would have been done and dusted.
Yeah,
Wouldn't have happened.
Would have been a great film.
I guess maybe he. Obviously, it seemed like he'd done his research, so maybe he kind of always thought that she won't, because she cares too much about the patients. She'll believe my story.
So
Kind of
what
thing.
about the time he calls her and then she goes to his place though? And then he's vomiting over the toilet because she's obviously given him that needle. Was that all made up as well?
He's playing a long game.
Yeah,
maybe.
that's a huge game.
Why
Yeah.
does he want her over there in the first place?
Yeah. He could have faked there that he was. I
Yeah.
guess that doesn't go with his whole plan, but
Because he obviously part of the plan was to get Nora, into the house with Jane a couple of times. Was that to?
Oh yeah, was that to draw her out so Nora could get in and
maybe.
because at one point in the house wasn't all the photos were there?
That was a different time.
Different time.
That was the time when she kind of ran all the way through the house.
Yeah,
up and
okay,
down
yeah.
and-
Maybe was it a ploy just for Nora to do something? Maybe.
So
Was he trying to get Nora to kill her?
But Mike, why did Nora want to work with him after everything that he'd put her through?
I don't know if she. Oh, yeah, well, she
I
was.
think she had a choice, maybe.
Well, she ended up killing herself.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah, or did
Alex,
he
Alex-
kill her?
Yeah, I think Alex did that.
But I don't know why you would. He was obsessed.
He was obsessed with her. I guess.
Without being in the right state of mind, he was obsessed with her.
So if she's at that far gone, why was she helping him?
I don't think she was even because she clearly wasn't ready to be released from the psych ward.
But she was doing what he was telling her to do in the house.
But I don't know if she even knew what she was doing. Maybe I think you could sort of argue that she was just
Cover that bed and those photos and that blood. That's,
Well, I think he
that's
did that. I think he did
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
He did that. Yeah, because she was following her around.
Yeah.
she was following Nora.
Still pretty quick to do that though. That
Yeah.
would take some time to set up.
Yeah.
Good questions.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know why I glossed over that.
Anything else?
I had a question that I have since. Oh yeah, when Jane breaks out of the psych ward at the end.
Was this psych ward is not good security.
I couldn't work out what it was that she stabbed him with. Was it a pencil? A pen?
Something like that.
Something like that?
Yeah, just something on his
yeah,
desk.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
a letter opener or something.
What
Maybe.
car was that she was getting into?
that she had keys to.
And the killer was in there.
And the exact... No, he wasn't in there. Didn't he follow her in and get her in the door?
Oh, did he follow her?
Was it her friend's car?
He got a friend... he was in the car when her friend got in.
Yeah, I knew
when
that.
When she got in the car, I think she'd followed her and got her through the door, through the window.
Did he?
Yeah, so he wasn't in that car.
Okay,
he was only in her
was
friend's car.
Because
that's an amazing coincidence that she happened to get in the wrong car. But I don't know how she gets in that car.
Yeah, true.
Like,
you assume, I guess,
did we miss her stealing keys?
The keys from the bloke.
Which mean they showed they spelled out everything else in the movie for us, but they didn't spell out her grabbing the keys for us.
And that would have been okay. Grab the keys and
would have been fine.
Press a button and see which car.
But
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how she gets that car.
It's not like she drove there and that's her car. There's the car that I parked when I was coming to the cycle voluntarily.
Yeah, I don't think that one was thought out very well.
Okay, I don't feel as bad. I thought he was just waiting in the car. Like if she runs out, she'll come into this.
No, because remember, I think he was saying, he was like, I was
waiting for you.
How to break you out. Okay. And suddenly I see you running out. It was perfect. Yeah. So he was just waiting in the bushes or something for her.
Okay.
It just timed out really well for
I feel better about it now.
All right, let's give our ratings for the film.
If you do have a dog, though...
dog. We haven't had a Bernie update long.
Nah, they like, to be honest, there hasn't been that many
Bernie scared?
reasons. No, it was Todd.
Sorry, Todd.
Bernie doesn't care. Bernie I got 2 dogs. Bernie is fine. He'll watch anything. Todd, there was a few scenes where you hear dogs in the background as you're doing all these kind of dark sort of thriller movies, and so there was like 5 or 6 times where you just hear dogs barking and Todd's like looking around. He can't see anything, so... They were never sighted, those dogs, but my dog barked.
All right, let's do it. Rating out of 5. We do this every week, and then we're going to give an average for our results. I think, MJ?
Let's do it.
Hit us off.
It did a great job at piquing my interest. I constantly wanted to learn more, and I felt like they did a good job at using the PTSD therapy and sketchy flashbacks to keep me wondering what was real and what wasn't. There were 2 or 3 genuinely chilling scenes that got my heart racing, and it was a very welcome inclusion to the film watching experience. Despite being a bit slow in patches, this was a pretty good thriller, and I'd recommend it to anyone who's willing to stick with it. 3.5 stars.
Oh, nice. I kept worrying throughout the film. I was worried that the payoff wasn't going to be worth sitting there for an hour and 40 minutes. And I felt that numerous times as I was watching. And the payoff, it was sort of there. Like, there was a payoff. It was better than I thought it was going to end. So it was well made. And although it did get repetitive times, it does give you some things to think about. So I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5. Heater.
I gave it a 2. It was creepy and it definitely scared me. I like the violence and gore, and I was on the edge of my seat. I was in the movie from the first 5-minute scene, but then my interest really did definitely wane and it got a bit slow for me. I did enjoy the ending of it, but overall, I just didn't really like it that much in the end. So I give it a 2 out of 5.
All right, so out of 5 average, what does it give us as a team?
I've just watched Heater completely butcher the calculator. He had it all ready to go.
2.67.
2.67 out of 5.
Why did you press times or something?
I wasn't sure if I added in my score, and then I think I added in twice because then I got a higher number and went, there is no way that was what it was. 2.67 out of 5 we got in the end.
All right, so on social media, we chuck a question up with our episode each week. This week, the question is, does Jane come out stronger after the events of this film? So does she overcome? She's had one traumatic event. Does she overcome this one as well? Or
if you're writing clinical 2,
is it a whole down spiral event of her life from here on?
Good question.
So we are on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Flix Forum, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean. Subscribe, 5 stars if you can.
She's got to get over the fact that she killed her boyfriend. That's probably going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's the big one, isn't it?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a real tough one.
Because when she realised that she survived, she's like, hang on, I killed my boyfriend and threw out all that. And her best friend's dead.
But did the boyfriend actually die?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Was she going to get arrested again?
Because killing the face man.
No, but she broke out. Surely they're going to go and catch her again and bring her back.
At least they found out that she got drugged.
Yeah, that's true.
When she was tied up at the end, didn't Alex say to her, she's like, he's died, and she's like, well, the only person alive is Miles because he's the one that actually meant something to you. Didn't he say something along those lines?
Because I think you watched the scene on the video of after she killed him. He's like lifeless next to her. And her best friend's dead, and her psychiatrist, who was also a friend.
Yeah.
She got nothing. So, no, I don't think she's going to do very well in clinical 2.
Well, there's one answer. So, next week, We will be back again for another episode. We're looking at the 2017 black comedy film Take the 10. It's directed by Chester Tam, stars Josh Peck, Tony Rivoli, Emily Chang, Cleopatra Coleman, Kevin Corrigan, and Andy Samberg. So get on board. Sounds like if it's got Andy Samberg in it,
the 10.
Take the 10. Should be a good comedy. Thanks for good chat.
Thank you, mate. That was good.
Thanks, boys. It's been fun.
Good
one.
Sort of in the similar ballpark with our ratings on that one. So yeah. Join us next week, and we'll see you guys then.
See you then.
See you, mate.